to more of the... Narrated by Noah. Listen to more of the world's best journalism on the Noah app or at newsoveraudio.com.
You're listening to Harvard Business Review, where on the 5th of July 2022, Alison Meister, Bonnie Hayden Chang, Nele Dial, and Francisca Krings write How to Recover from Work Stress According to Science. Alison Meister is a professor of leadership and organizational behavior at IMD Business School in Lausanne, Switzerland. Bonnie Hayden Chang is an associate professor of management and strategy and the MBA program director at HKU Business School, University of Hong Kong. Nele Dial is a senior behavior scientist studying emotion, personality, and social skills in organizational contexts. And Francisca Krings is Professor of Organizational Behavior at HEC Lausanne, University of Lausanne. The workforce is tired. While sustainable job performance requires us to thrive at work, only 32% of employees across the globe say they're thriving. With 43% reporting high levels of daily stress, it's no surprise that a wealth of employees feel like they're on the edge of burnout, with some reports suggesting that up to 61% of US professionals feel like they're burning out at any moment in time. Those who feel tense or stressed out during the workday are more than 3 times as likely to seek employment elsewhere. Because of this, employees increasingly demand mental health support, and more employers have responded by offering benefits like virtual mental health support, spontaneous days or even weeks off, meeting-free days, and flexible work scheduling. Despite these efforts and the increasing number of employees buying into the importance of wellness, the effort is lost if you don't actually recover. So if you feel like you're burning out, what works when it comes to recovering from stress? Recovery is the process of restoring symptoms of work stress, anxiety, exhaustion, and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol back to pre-stressor levels. We refer to recovery as a skill because knowing how and when you can best recover from stress requires both knowledge of what works for you and practice, actually doing it. The skill of recovery is well known in fields that require performance under extreme pressure or are characterized by the need for prolonged periods of intense concentration, where errors can be costly or even deadly. Consider a pilot on a critical mission or an athlete who has their entire career hanging on a single performance. These people learn quickly that physical and mental recovery is crucial for achieving and sustaining high performance under pressure. Pilots are even officially required to recover for defined time periods during and between duty in order to maintain safety standards, and a wealth of research explores how athletes can best recover. Importantly, recovery in these fields doesn't just happen when individuals feel depleted or burned out. It's an essential part of the training and performance strategy. Effectively recovering from periods of stress, performance, or concentration is important for emotions, moods, energy, learning integration and growth, and ultimately performance, mental and physical health, and relationships. The process of recovery introduces a paradox. Research shows that when our bodies and minds need to recover and reset the most, i.e. when we're most depleted, we're the least likely and able to do something about it. For example, when work is demanding and we're feeling overwhelmed, we quickly slide into a negative cycle of working longer hours and taking fewer breaks. During those stressful times, we also tend to eat less healthily, even though adequate nutrition and hydration are important to replenishing energy levels. Further depleted, we have less energy and motivation to take time out to relax or engage in exercise, leading to low recovery and, in turn, further exhaustion the next day. Rinse and repeat. Organizational cultures that celebrate working on little sleep or that work in a constant state of emergency can exacerbate this, because despite your body begging to recover, there's an underlying assumption that you can, and should, push through it. To overcome this paradox, you must learn what works best for you and devise a recovery plan. It's important to note that what actually works for stress recovery is not always as intuitive as you think. Here are 5 ways to make recovery work for you, based on industry and research-based insights. First, it's important to detach psychologically from work. It sounds silly, but after a long, intense surgery, what I do to relax is play some video games to disconnect before I go home, described an orthopedic surgeon participating in an executive class on stress management. Regardless of your preferred recovery activity, reading, running, video games, cooking, etc., it's important that you mentally disconnect or switch off your thoughts of work or the particular stressor at hand. Workday stress accumulates throughout the day, meaning that we ruminate about work well into the evening. You may be physically present at an exercise class, but your mind is replaying the events of an earlier client meeting. Research shows that even thinking about work detracts from your ability to recover from it, and the mere presence of your mobile phone distracts you, leaving you unable to detach from the office. As recovery can only occur when our minds return to pre-stressor levels, we need to facilitate that process by cognitively withdrawing from thoughts of work, essentially giving our minds a break. Detachment leads to better recovery and even improvements in work-related outcomes, such as performance and engagement. This is counterintuitive to the notion that more time spent working leads to better performance. To harness this principle, dedicate a fixed, and if needed, short, time each day when you can fully devote attention to a non-work-related activity. Even starting with a few minutes will reap benefits for recovery. Practicing mindfulness as a supplementary activity helps with this. Over time, you're training your brain and its tendency to ruminate to focus on the present moment. Learn which triggers prevent you from psychologically detaching from work. If, for instance, the presence of your phone prompts you to check work emails during off hours or breaks, turn it off or shut off notifications temporarily. You can also harness the power of micro breaks during the workday. During the work week, I set my phone alarm to ring once every 2 hours as a needed reminder to step away from my computer, stretch, walk around, and get a drink of water. An EVP of a multinational technology company recounted. Contrary to common assumptions that recovery can only happen after work or during a long holiday, research shows that micro breaks, short breaks of approximately 10 minutes taken during the workday, are surprisingly effective for recovering from daily work stress and various job demands. For example, short moments of meditation or relaxing, taking time to eat a nutritious snack, enjoyable social interactions, or activities that require some degree of cognitive attention, such as reading, are strategies that can improve motivation and concentration, shape your mood, and sustain your energy during the day. Also, taking longer breaks in combination with more frequent short breaks can provide more energy, motivation, and concentration than infrequent short breaks. Interestingly, micro breaks taken earlier in the workday contribute to greater recovery. It's important to resist the urge to push through the day, assuming that it will be easier to recover later, or to save up your recovery for the weekend, or even for that holiday that's still months ahead. To maximize your recovery, ensure you have a recovery plan that you can enact on a daily basis through the use of micro breaks that you can schedule into your busy workflow with dedicated smartphone apps. In addition, you should consider your preference for recovery activity. I used to partake in my partner's hobby during my free time so that we could spend quality time together. Then I realized I dreaded going to guitar lessons. Now we do our own hobbies. I do my gardening while my partner learns guitar, and we carve out time to spend together afterwards. Although having a choice over your recovery activity sounds like common sense, this experience, described by the CFO of a global events company, highlights the challenges of applying this principle. Perhaps you felt pressured into going to a group exercise class, Or maybe your company organised a group wellness activity during the weekend when you really just wanted to be at home with your family. Not having a choice in your own recovery can sometimes do more harm than good. For example, one study showed that when workers wanted to sit with co-workers and chat over the lunch break, it boosted their stress recovery. On the other hand, when workers were less keen about socialising over lunch, but did so anyway, perhaps due to peer pressure or norms of that particular company culture, they found their energy highly depleted at the end of the day. The same pattern of depletion was also identified for working lunches. For most people, working over lunch is draining. Yet, if you personally choose to stay in a productive workflow during lunchtime and get energised by accomplishing important tasks, there can be recovery benefits. Just keep in mind that relaxing is an important recovery activity that affords benefits, even when it's not your most preferred lunch break activity. In sum, be mindful about how you use your lunch breaks. If you feel pressured to socialise or continue working, talk to your manager about how you can get more autonomy over how you schedule and use your break. Then spend those free slots doing recovery activities that you prefer. Another way to make recovery work for you is to prioritise high-effort recovery activities. I may not be rah-rah about it ahead of time, but there has never been a gym session I've regretted afterwards, proclaimed a senior executive of a multinational healthcare company. While it may seem that relaxing, watching TV, or other passive or low-effort activities are best for recovery, on the contrary, research shows that more active activities can be even more effective for recovery. If you don't enjoy going to the gym or playing team sports, find a type of exercise that you do enjoy, such as a fast walk, a hike, or a swim. Beyond exercise, other activities that work well for recovery are engaging in effortful activities or mastery experiences. Mastery experiences require high levels of dedication, focus, and time, resources that usually zap you of energy during the workday. While it seems counterintuitive that further drawing on these resources during non-work periods will benefit your recovery, mastery experiences such as pursuing a hobby, learning a new language, learning to play the violin, volunteering, etc., helps you generate new skills and replenishes depleted resources that can be applied back to your work, thereby approaching recovery from a different, productive angle. Beyond the standard recovery activities like exercise or yoga and meditation, it may be time to add a new tool to your recovery toolkit. Why not sign up for that kickboxing class? Or maybe it's time to dust off that old guitar. And finally, shape your environment for optimal recovery. One underrated, critical element of recovery is your surrounding environment. Some companies have caught on and are building direct and indirect exposure to natural elements into the workplace. Indeed, research on direct exposure to nature, such as through park walks during workday lunch breaks, shows that it can enhance your recovery from stress in as little as 10 minutes. In addition to short-term effects, being exposed to nature at work contributes positively to your well-being and lowers the likelihood of burnout. Exposure to daylight and having a window view or indoor greenery at the workplace have been shown to have a positive impact on your sleep quality, perceived stress, and overall health. Interestingly, indirect exposure to nature, for example, even looking at nature scenes on a screen, can also have benefits for recovery. In a nutshell, getting some nature into your workplace makes you more happy and energized at work. No need to book a trip to the mountains. You can try to stay connected to nature while at work by using any outdoor facilities your employer provides, like cafeteria terraces or green spaces at the building entries, opening windows regularly to bring in fresh air, taking short walks in a nearby park during your micro breaks, and even suggesting outdoor walking meetings when possible. If all else fails, try to get some exposure through nature photography or videos. The benefits of devising and enacting an intentional recovery plan are clear. Recovery can sustain your energy, well-being, positive moods, and motivation, and boost cognitive and physical performance, and your overall life satisfaction. However, when you most need to recover is when you're least likely to actually engage in recovery activities. By following these strategies for recovery, you can better create and enact an intentional recovery plan to help sustain your energy and performance over time. You are listening to Harvard Business Review, where on July the 5th, 2022, Alison Meister, Bonnie Hayden-Cheng, Nele Jiao, and Francisca Krings write How to Recover from Work Stress According to Science. It was read by Jane Wing for NOAA.
Five self-care tips for parents who need a break this summer. A recent study shows 66% of working parents meet the criteria for parental burnout. News by Janae Kingsbury. Illustrations by Maria Alcanada Brooks. What does summer look like for your family? For some, it means camp days, vacations, long lazy afternoons, or trips to the pool. But for many parents, it also means running on fumes as they juggle these activities on top of demanding work lives. According to a recent report, 66% of working parents meet the criteria for parental burnout, which refers to the emotional exhaustion, detachment, feeling of isolation and worthlessness caused by prolonged stress, said Jean Barrison, a professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School and executive director of the Clay Center for Young Healthy Minds. During the pandemic, those feelings have only compounded. At this juncture in our country, we are stressed about the economic downturn, return-to-work mandates, childcare and daycare shortages, political unrest and serious concerns about recent Supreme Court decisions, gun violence and mass shootings, Barrison said. And it's not just parents feeling this burden. I think the pandemic made parents really aware of not just their own mental and emotional health, but also made them very aware of their kids' mental emotional wellness, said Mercedes Samudio, a psychotherapist and founder of Shame-Proof Parenting, a practice that helps families develop healthy parent-child relationships. So one of the things that I worked with a lot of parents on is how do we manage family mental health, not just our own individual, she said. To help parents navigate a tumultuous time, Samudio and Barrison offered advice on ways they can slow down, recharge and encourage their kids to participate, too. Encourage the entire family to unplug and have alone time. One idea Samudio often recommends to parents is engaging the entire family in taking a break. Oftentimes, parents will say, "I don't have enough time for me," which I agree, she said. But if you kind of get the whole family in on how to relax or do self-care, it actually allows it to be a family moment as opposed to just the parent trying to steal a moment for themselves. Samudio says this practice can start once a day with families turning off their devices and opting for a relaxing activity. This introduces a new routine into the household and allows everyone, especially older kids, to figure out what it is they might want to do on their own, she said. It's a good practice so when you do need alone time, your kids actually understand, Samudio said. Barrison agrees. He recommends putting aside 20 minutes before bed to read, relax, or listen to music. Barrison also suggests setting an alarm for a daily work break or creating a plan to rotate responsibilities with a partner to give the other a break. Get out of the house and appreciate nature. Parents can explore their relationship with the outdoors by visiting parks, waterways, and beaches, Barrison said. Think of the times you enjoyed a great sunrise or sunset, took a scenic hike, rode your bike in a park, or just took a walk around the neighborhood, he added. Remember how that felt? There is something to our relationship with the outdoors that makes us feel good, if we can allow ourselves a few minutes not to rush or be disturbed by our ringtones. In general, getting out of the house can be restorative, he said. But parents shouldn't count that as running errands or commuting to work. Instead, these should be more intentional efforts to step away from the daily slog of household tasks. Barrison also recommended considering a night out once a week or every other week. Setting a cadence for these nights will help it become an expectation for everyone, he added, especially for kids. It also gives parents something to look forward to and distract yourself from the serious worries you have. Exercise and practice mindfulness. Samudio recommends the whole family get involved with exercise and mindfulness, which studies show can help improve mood and manage mental health symptoms, such as anxiety and depression. As Barrison points out, mindful meditation has proven to change the structure and function of the brain and is a fabulous way to promote relaxation while reducing anxiety, depression, and stress. Now that the practice has gained in popularity, it's also more easily available to learn, both in person with an expert or online through sites like Headspace and Calm. This is something you can do in any place whenever you need it, he said. Even a 10-minute meditation can change the course of your day. Spend time with people who care for you. In our role as parents, we are the consummate caretakers, Barrison said. But, to quote Bill Withers, we all need somebody to lean on. Barrison encourages parents to spend time with the people who care for them. That could be friends or family members you trust to nurture you, listen to you and give advice, sympathy and comfort during a rough spell, he said. We humans are pack animals and need each other, Barrison added. We are not solo pilots or hermits, though with all our duties, it is easy to become isolated from other loved ones. For connection with those outside the house, he recommends setting up time for short visits or a quick video chat. And to connect with those at home, Samudio and Barrison both recommend group activities, such as family dinners and game nights. See a doctor regularly, and consider professional help. Barrison stresses the importance of seeing a primary care physician annually to help maintain your general health. These visits are also an opportunity to discuss ways to improve self-care. Beyond exercise and diet, there are things you might ask about to improve your strength and resilience, such as physical therapy, occupational therapy, vision tests, even mindfulness classes, he said. If your level of burnout and stress is excessive, Barrison adds that parents can ask their primary care physician for a mental health evaluation. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 1 in 5 Americans will experience a mental illness in a given year. Over a lifetime, it rises to more than 50%. Parents and grandparents are all affected by excessive stress, Barrison said, because of obligations at home and at work. When these stress factors are compounded by a psychiatric disorder, such as a form of anxiety, depression, or a severe adjustment disorder, self-care would certainly include a range of individual, family, or group psychotherapies, and possibly medications, he said.